Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast to the protection against heavy rain and flooding by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe.
So the big challenge is, how can house owners like you and me get a flood-free home? How can business managers like you and me get a flood-free company? And how can public servants provide flood-free critical infrastructure and livable cities?
Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe. This podcast is for foresighted and proactive people who do not want to shovel the muddy water out of their room while standing in the midst of the disaster.
Therefore, those who design and plan, the architects and engineers, need to construct such buildings and cities, and that even when the entire environment is completely flooded. That is a challenge, and this podcast will give the answers.
Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe.
Hello listeners, I am Andreas Klippe indeed, and today we are embarking on a journey through the complex world of flood protection. Imagine a manufacturing site with about 46,000 square meters. Huge, isn't it? And let it be located in the south of Metro Manila, one of these mega cities. It can also be Bangkok, Jakarta, Ho Chi Minh City, or New York, or Paris, perhaps also around Düsseldorf in Germany. It doesn't play any role, but that is a real example what I'm mentioning. Of course, I changed the names a little bit and the application because it is quite confidential. So this manufacturing site is located in the south of Metro Manila, this huge mega city with 16 million inhabitants or citizens. Nobody knows exactly how many there are. And this company produces electronic components, and these parts are used in the car industry and in other industries, but in this case in the car industry. And the challenge is flooding. Isn't that surprising? Because this podcast is, of course, about the flood protection secrets. And there's an employee. He is called Michael Thompson. Some of you know him already from other episodes. And he is in a leading position, is one of the business development managers. And he gets the instruction of his boss: find me a flood protection solution for our whole factory, for our whole compound, for the premises of the company. Oh, how to start? How would you start if your boss would give you such a task? So let's join Michael on his journey. Are you ready? Okay, so Michael's challenge begins with an urgent assignment to develop a flood protection plan for the sprawling premises of the company he works for in the rainy region of Manila. With heavy rainfall, a constant threat, a solid, effective solution is really urgently needed. And the insurance company is pushing hard. And but it's not just about the insurance company, it's about the safety of their own company, about ensuring that operations can continue, that the jobs of all employees, including the management, are safe. So the insurance company was only waking everybody up. They were shaking the management a little bit, and now they took action, and that is why Michael Thompson has this instruction this instruction from his boss. So how to start? The first thing what came into his mind was, I need a hydrological study. Okay, here we go. What is a hydrological study? It is not just a preparatory step, but the cornerstone of flood protection planning. It involves analyzing precipitation patterns, water flow, topography, and more. And we explore why understanding these elements is really critical to develop a customized flood protection strategy. And today we talk about it. So the hydrological study is an in-depth analysis of the water cycle in a specific area. If you are not a business manager and you're a homeowner, it also applies for you. It also applies for for governmental agencies, of course, if they want to build a subway or governmental buildings, a new city hall, for instance, or school or hospital. So, but way back to the hydrological study, it involves the study of the occurrence, movement, physical and chemical properties of water, with a focus on water bodies close to the Earth's land surface. We also talk about the groundwater table, of course, but it's important whether you are located next to the ocean or to waterways or a canal, a river, a creek, whatever. This study is crucial for flood protection as it helps to understand how water behaves in different terrains and under different weather conditions, which is essential for planning effective flood protection systems. Yeah, that's right. Michael likes it and he thinks he's doing very well, and I agree to this point. So several critical aspects are analyzed in a hydrological study. So what is it? Perhaps for some of you it is also new, but normally people like you and me, of course, it's not like me because that's the business I'm involved in. But for most of the people, they never have to deal with a hydrological study. So that's why I'm going to explain it. There are six major points. And the water cycle analysis is number one. So it is about understanding the evaporation, condensation, and precipitation process in the area that helps in predicting flood patterns. The second is terrain and topography examination. So assessing the land's physical characteristics to determine how water flows and accumulates. Yeah, look to your garden. If the garden is totally flat, okay, but normally, very often there is a slope. So this slope will, of course, encourage some water to flow, downhill in so far. And if at the end of the slope there is your terrace, then all the water from the garden will end up at your terrace, will increase, finds a way through the terrace door, and ends up in your living room. That's, of course, what we don't want. So number 3, that is the rainfall and runoff data. And that is about analyzing historical and current rainfall data alongside how the water flows once it hits the ground. This data helps in predicting the intensity and frequency of potential floods. However, don't overestimate this data, because it is data from the past. And who knows how the future will look like. So don't rely only on that. That only helps you to get an idea. But most of the flooding incidents in the world are surprising. When you watch the TV or you read the newspaper, then what do the people always say? Oh, that is surprising. It happened the first time in this location. It never happened in my village before. I have never seen that since 60 years. I've never seen that. I'm 95 years old and it never happened. What's going on in this world? That is what the people say. And that is why please don't believe in this data. It's only data, and data can be wrong. But it is a part of the hydrological study. Number 4 brings us talks about the water balance equation. This is used to determine how much water is stored, evaporated. Evaporation is not really the big deal, because we talk about small waterways, small locations. But at the end, it also plays a role, because once your grassland, your garden is flooded, the water can disappear in 2 ways. It can be taken by the soil, or it can evaporate. There's no other way. Or a very thirsty cat from the neighbor is coming and is drinking the water. But then you need many cats to finish the water. Number 5 is the flood frequency analysis using historical data to estimate the likelihood of future flood events. I'm not really a friend of that. because that is what will be handled later on. I mentioned it already. Don't trust all this data from the past and take it for serious. You can if the data tells you you are flooded every year by 1 meter, then you can be sure if that happened 5 times, it will happen a 6th time, and it will get worse and worse and worse. That is what you will know. But if the data tells there was no flooding during the last 30 years because nobody took data from the years before, so you don't know if you don't ask the older people who have been at this area at this time and who don't lie to you and who still memorize what happened, then you might be totally wrong because the data tells you there's no flooding. And then one day you wake up and the whole company is underwater. What happened all over the world again and again. Okay, and number 6, the hydrological modeling. Using various models to simulate specific processes in the hydrological cycle. This helps in forecasting future stream flow regimes and is vital for flood risk assessment and management. Yeah, that is what describes a hydrological study, but there is a bigger picture, of course.
Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast to the protection against heavy rain and flooding, by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippa.
Yeah, welcome back. At this point, I would like to take you into our everyday world. I talked about the bigger picture, but let's go to the everyday world. Imagine you have spent too much time in front of an air conditioner. Can you remember such a situation in your life? What will most likely happen next? Well, the next day you will start sneezing and coughing. And imagine you know a nurse in your neighborhood and you ring her doorbell. When she opens, you ask her to help you. She notices that you feel ill and tells you, you are sick. You have a cough and a cold. You'd better be careful and treat your body well. Go and see a doctor. Will this opinion be okay for you? Certainly not. So you decide to go to the doctor at the end of the day. And the first question you ask him is, Doctor, how much will it cost to cure me? Will the doctor answer? No, not at all. The doctor will start examining your body, checking your breath, taking your temperature, looking into your open mouth. When you say, he will listen to your lungs with a stethoscope. And then, only then, he will give you his results. Based on his results, you will receive a prescription for a medication. And now, you go to a pharmacy, present your doctor's prescription and get your medication. You follow the instructions on the medication's package leaflet, take it or apply it to your nasal mucous membranes, and then you rest, maybe stay in bed. From this moment on, the healing process begins in your body, right? I think everybody can remember such a situation, not only one. After a few days, you should be well again and able to enjoy life with your family or your friends. Perhaps a nice barbecue at the weekend, who knows? And now I ask you, why should it be any different when it is a disease called flooding and the body that is the equivalent of a company site? Will the manager and employees and the employees rely on what the nurse said? The nurse in this example is a hydrological study. It tells you what diseases you can expect, but it doesn't tell you exactly what you need to be protected. The doctor's treatment is carried out by flood experts through an engineering assessment. So that is the equivalent. And that will be in part 2. That is what we discuss and describe in part 2. So let's conclude. Michael has made a good start with his hydrological study, but he also knows that the study doesn't give him the answer on how to protect the company's premises. And he needs to know the medication, the doctor's prescription. That is why he asks the flood experts for a technical opinion. And we'll see how that works in the next episode. And as always, there is a small golden nugget. So this time it is really related to the topic. Remember, the first step to protecting your premises is not to buy flood barriers, but to identify your individual flood risks through a detailed hydrological study. This is the beginning of a blueprint for your flood protection strategy. If you want to know how Michael's journey continues, or if you want to rethink your approach to flood protection, stay tuned for more episodes like this, and don't forget to subscribe for more insights from the world of flood protection. For personal guidance, reach out to us or to me. My name is Andreas Klippe. Stay safe and flood free. I wish and hope for you that you make the right decisions when it comes to your personal flood protection. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to this podcast channel if you haven't already. Now it only remains for me to wish you a good day. Do something with it. Maybe until the next podcast episode. I would be very happy. See you then. As always, stay safe and flood free. Your Andreas Klippe and the whole Flood Experts team.
That's it again with the new episode of Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast by Dr. Flood Andreas Klippe, German engineer, book author, and head of the Flood Experts. What can Dr. Flood Andreas Klippe protect for you? Anytime? Worldwide? Contact us or just click through to www.thefloodexperts.de/bonus. Detailed engineering, German quality, safe, flood protection secrets, the secrets you'll want to unfold.
Don't forget, you're only one flood barrier away.
Subscribe to the season, and you'll never be late for an episode.